Hey friend, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to get the most out of your watercolor brushes. So we're going to be covering brush maintenance and how to make sure it retains its shape and doesn't get all those stray, funky hairs. And I'm also going to be talking about when to use certain types of brushes. So the different styles and types of brushes like filbert and wash brush and round brush, and when to use the different types and what you would use them for. So if you want to learn all of that stuff, then let's dive in. So for brush maintenance, I really keep it simple. I don't use any sort of brush cleaner or specific type of soap or anything. You can if you want to. Every artist is different. I know people in the comments might be very particular about using certain methods. Everyone's different, you do you. Just make sure your brushes are clean and they're not stored improperly. That is gonna damage the hair. So every once in a while, I paint pretty much every day. So to go to my sink and literally get all the pigment out, I'm just a little bit lazy, I'll be honest. That's gonna upset some people. And that's fine, I'm okay with that. But some people will be really particular about going over to the sink and making sure to wash out all of the pigment, and I understand where you're coming from. However, I'm lazy and I don't do that. But these brushes, these synthetic hair brushes, are extremely durable. And so I've had them for years, not this one because this is a new brush, but these round brushes I've literally had for 5+ years, maybe more, probably more like 8 years. And that's my style. I rinse them off in my cups of water, and then probably about once a week, I'll go to my sink and I'll actually rinse out all of the pigment from it. But after every single use, I make sure to reshape the hair. So if it's a round brush, then I'll reshape it with my fingers to get to its point again. Filbert brush, wash brush, same thing, using my fingers to reshape the brush. And this is important to do when the hair is freshly damp, not too wet though. So like dab it off on your paper towel and then reshape it. So if you're seeing any hair that isn't going back to its form, you can be extremely careful and take some scissors and just snip that one hair out. Go to the ferrule or the base of the hair, right up against the metal part of the ferrule, and snip it out. That might upset some other people too. I don't know. We're just pissing people off today. But if you notice that it's kind of splaying out and there's some wild hairs, then just trim it up. It might be time to get a new brush if it's really wild. Obviously, you want to be able to use the brush in its true form, a really tight form. So that's why you take care of your brushes, because your brushes, if you do take care of them and you reshape them after you use them and you store them flat and not point down, you will have your brushes for life. You can even pass them down generation to generation if you take care of them. This is why investing in good brushes is always a good idea, because if maintenance and care-wise, if you're on it, you're gonna have these brushes for a very long time. So I always rinse off in my water cup, and then I take my fingers and I reshape them and I place them. I have this brush holder from Sylvan Clay Works. It's a ceramic brush holder, has little divots in it that I love just resting my brushes in on the metal part of this, or the ferrule of the brush, so I don't like bend in any hair or make them get wacky. So the reason why you want to store them obviously flat is not only is it a bummer for the hair of the brush, it's going to bend the hair of the brush and damage the hair of the brush if you store it upright like this. If you store it up the other way in like a cup or something like this while it's still wet, and let's say you don't clean out all the pigment out like I do, then it's gonna drip into the ferrule of the brush. It's gonna get moldy and rusty, and it's gonna start to stiffen the hair of the brush. So that's why I like to lay it flat, not point up or point down, because it will eventually damage the brush. If it's completely clean and dry, then you can obviously put it in the cup and that's totally fine. But you just wanna make sure you take care of your brushes. I'm sure a lot of you guys are gonna have other tips that you're really particular about with cleaning and maintenance for your brushes. So drop them in the comments. Just drop them in the comments with kindness, because we're all just doing our best here, okay? And then the second thing we're gonna talk about is which brush to use when. So let's start with the filbert brush. This brush is brand spanking new at the time of recording this. I helped collaborate on creating this brush with Princeton. It is called the Blooms brush. It's part of their Velvet Touch long handle series. It's a size 12 filbert. So filbert brushes are gonna have that rounded corner kind of square shape. It's not a wash brush because it has rounded corners. The difference between a wash and a filbert is the corner shape. So this shape, the filbert brush, is naturally, in my opinion, best for flower petals, flowers, and even leaves. So you can use the corner of the brush for leaf shapes and even side-facing petals. And then the flat shape of the brush is quite literally the perfect shape for petals. So I love using this brush for flowers. You can also use it for other things, but when you're doing some sort of like wash or anything like that, you're going to have, instead of a flat edge at the end, you're going to have a curved edge at the end. So it's not as ideal for washes or landscapes, big strokes, flat or stripes like a wash brush. So wash brushes or a MOTTLER brush that is basically a wash brush but much larger in size. I have a MOTTLER from the Aqua Elite series from Princeton that's 1.5 inches. These are going to be the flat tops, so they're going to be like the square with the pointy corners. It's going to be best for stripes, for washes, for big bold strokes. You can also use the corner, and you can use this brush to paint flowers. I think I did a video on this actually of painting some roses with a wash brush. But wash brushes, I prefer to use my big wash brushes like my MOTTLER brush for like if I'm painting a big sweeping sky or some ocean, my backgrounds for my oceans or my backgrounds for my skies, etc. So that's when I'd use a wash brush. And then my round brushes. I have 3 different sizes of round brushes in my arsenal, if you will. I have a size 16, a size 6, and a size 2. My size 2 is used for my details in florals or trees or landscapes, whatever you need little tiny details on, or thin lines like stems. My size 2 is my go-to. My size 6, I'll use for fluffiness in trees. I'll use it for details in landscapes. I'll use it sometimes for flowers too, but now that I have this filbert brush, I've kind of replaced all of my floral paintings with just this filbert brush. So, round brushes are great for flowers as well, but I'll use my size 6 and my size 16 brush interchangeably, just depending on the size that I'm getting with my painting. But your round brushes are 2-in-1 style brushes because they do come to a fine point, so you can get really thin strokes out of it. And then if you use a slanted hold like this, you'll get the thickness or the belly of the brush. For a wide stroke, you can do big fluffy petals, you can do sweeping grass or kind of big strokes, waves in oceans, etc. with your round brushes, because you can go between a thin and then a thick and then a thin again for waves. So I like to use my round brushes for waves and stuff. But those are kind of the main styles or shape styles of brushes that I have in my toolbox. Filbert, good filbert, the size 12 is perfect for me. A good wash brush, maybe a couple wash brushes, like a MOTTLER, that's a really big 1 inch, 1.5 inch brush, and then a smaller wash brush. And then I have 3 round brushes, one size 2, a size 6, and a size 16 that are kind of used for different things, but mostly details and fluffing up stuff. If you want to check out all those supplies, all those brushes that I mentioned in this video, tap right here, tap in this video. We're going to put a link somewhere around in this frame for you to check out all my favorite watercolor supplies. So if you're wondering what paint I use, what pigments, I just said that in a different word, what pigments I use, brushes, papers, all of that will be linked. But check out these brushes because they're dope. And they are synthetic hair brushes, so if you do damage them, I'm not recommending it because that will be sad, but it's not as damaging to the bank account as a natural hair brush. So I love them for that reason. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. I hope you learned a thing or two. That is the goal with all of these videos, is to uplift and share the good news of art. If you want to deepen your art skills and your artistic abilities, check out my Patreon, which is my monthly art school membership, where I'm uploading 2 exclusive monthly tutorials every single month. I'm posting just on Patreon these tutorials. Nobody's seen them anywhere else. And I'm also doing a live art class every single month for certain tiers and doing art critiques for certain tiers every single month. So it's a wonderful place to be. Awesome community of people in there as well. And I also have an online course that's going to show you how to develop your own style as an artist, how to tap into flow state to create your best work, and more. So check that out. That's called The Art Within. I hope you have a wonderful day spreading the good news of art and cheer and love and joy. And I will see you in the next video.